paperback and e-readers this March. John Haynes, the man with nothing to lose. The man who rules the world runs into the irresistible force of a man with nothing to lose in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get the regular and variant cover editions of John Haynes, the man with nothing to lose this March. Hi, it's Shawn here with another comic review video. And this one comes from a comic I put in a pledge for on Kickstarter last year. Now, Arthur Belfield, the creator of Black Villains Wanted, sent me a link to his Kickstarter last year. And when I read his concept for Black Villains Wanted, it sounded like a very interesting one. So I dropped a pledge on his Kickstarter, and he sent out this issue, the digital one, this week. And after reading this issue, I found it to be a very interesting comic. Now, this Black Villains Wanted, I thought it was going to be a basic story from the bad guy's perspective, but Arthur Belfield goes out of his way to go even further by making it a bit of a satire. And as I was reading this comic, it reminded me a lot of the old movie Drop Squad back in the 1990s. Now, if you haven't seen Drop Squad is all about this kind of corny black guy who is really square, and he's caught up with all of these white ideals, and people send the Drop Squad to go get him and try to break him out of these so-called white ways. And they are trying to break him out of them because they take him to this place and they try to deprogram him. And then they have to bring in a guy called XB, or Extra Black, in an effort to try to help him, because all of the efforts to try to bring real to the brother, they really aren't resonating, and they have to bring in the XB, or Extra Black brother, who is super pro-black, to try to help him. And I saw a lot of that kind of satire in Black Villains Wanted. It reminded me a lot of Drop Squad, and it reminded me a lot of the kind of subversive humor that made Drop Squad a lot of fun to watch. And the art here is very nice. It does a good job of telling a story, and Arthur Belfield does a great job with the writing here. Now, he opens up with an establishing shot, your Dax Damage's girlfriend, and Dax recovering from a beating, and him really thinking about the state of his career. Now, he's gotten beaten up by Convoy, who is his arch enemy, and he's thinking about his future because Convoy was the guy who killed his father, and he wants to try to get even with him. So we get a good opening with us getting an introduction of where this action is taking place, who is the main character, what he wants to do, and why should we care. And all of this is done all effectively on the first page. So we get a good start. The writing is rock solid to open the book. And we further get character development because here we have Dax Damage and his girlfriend, going over the state of his career and their relationship and how he wants to really get things going as related to his life. I mean, he's talked about how his team, how he thought they were going to be there for him. But with him being the token black character, this is a bit of a problem for him because his team always seems to abandon him to catch a beatdown. And if you've read a lot of black comic books or comic books that feature black characters, especially comic books from mainstream companies like Marvel and DC, oftentimes the black characters often get the short end of the stick. And your Dax Damage, like many of those characters from those Marvel and DC comics that feature those black heroes, and especially these black villains, he's tired of getting the short end of the stick, and he wants to do something that will help him take his bad guy career to the next level. So him and his girlfriend are pondering their future, and he's also thinking about his last beating, which happened in this great flashback sequence between him and his arch enemy. So we get some really interesting shots here before it transitions over to him at the house with his baby mama. And his baby mama is pretty fine for a woman who had 2 kids. And it looks like yoga had something to do with it because she's looking pretty fine on these panels here. And Dax is again pondering his future, not only with his white girlfriend from the previous page, but with his black baby mama. So we get, so again, some really good sequence. Arthur does a great job in only 2 pages of getting us into the story as related to his relationship with his baby mama, and showing us that there's more to Dax than just going out here and being the bad guy and getting the bag as his baby mama is telling him to do, but there are other things he needs to think about. So he does a great job of setting up this book. In less than about 4 or 5 pages, we're getting right into the action, and that's what good writing does. It gets us right into the action, lets us get to know this character, lets us get to know his story, and he makes a video talking about how he wants to recruit black villains and how he wants to build a new team of black villains to help him out. And this leads to one of the best pages in the comic. This splash right here, this is what a splash is. It's a big page that shows us the action from one character's perspective. And this one is brilliant because he does a great job of really pouring on the satire here, because if you look at all of these black characters, they all represent some type of token that is related to Marvel Comics or DC Comics. And if you look at the page, you can really see the characters he's making fun of in this page. And he does a great job with this one, showing us all of these token black characters and your Dax Damage in his attempt to try to build up a team. And this one leads into one of the most hilarious sequences in the book, and I don't want to give it all away, but it's one of the best sequences. And this sequence with the Wolverine type character, this one is hilarious. It's one that if you read it, you really would love it. And this again leads into your Raw Siege. And your Raw Siege is here, and after he kills all of these token black characters, he then comes on the stage and makes his proposal to Dax. And your Raw Siege is a completely different character, and he really reminds me of XB or Extra Black from your Drop Squad. And when he comes on the scene and talks about his plans to start some sort of race war between the white superheroes and the black superheroes, this is where Dax's story starts to really pick up. So the story really starts to pick up here, and we get another, again, this guy is supposed to be super pro-black, and he really takes no guff from anyone, and he introduces his squad. And this squad, again, reminds me a lot of Drop Squad from the 90s, and I'm going to have to pull away from a moment. You can look at my kind of beat up display here. I got to clean that up because I had to move the bookcase from one side of the room to the other. And I'm going to move because I don't want a copyright strike, and I don't want to, give away too much of the story here. But the art here, it's very effective. He tells a great story, lots of great plot twists, and everything leads to a big battle between Dax and his arch enemy. And his arch enemy is a very paternalistic, very liberal white guy. And the fight between them, it escalates into this big, great battle. And I'm not going to give away more of that. So you can look at more toys over here, Vintage Voltrons, because I have to get things, scroll things along. And the battle between them, it really intensifies, and ultimately it leads to the defeat of Dax's arch enemy, and Dax sadly left taking the fall. And this one, it leads to Dax taking the fall, but we also get some nice build-up into the next issue, because after Dax gets arrested, it looks like it's his girlfriends who have to get him out. So this one I found to be a very, very strong first issue. It did a very good job of introducing us to the main character. It did a great job of showing us his story, and it did a great job of showing us why we should care about Dax, and we should care about the people in his life. It did a great job of showing us the human side of the bad guys and why black villains should be wanted. And I can't wait until Arthur comes up with the second issue of your Black Villains Wanted, because I want to read the next issue of Black Villains Wanted. He has a very solid premise here and some really good character development, some really good storytelling. This is the start of a very promising series. If he can keep the humor going the same way throughout this issue that he does in the next issue, he's going to be putting together a very, very promising series and a very unique and original series, because I have never seen many stories focusing on black villains, and he gave us a reason to care about the bad guys, and these bad guys do a great job of driving the conflict, and I can't wait to see the character transformation arc finish on Black Villains Wanted, because again, I want to see more of Dax Damage, and I want to see more of these bad guys, and I want to see more of the reasons for their motivations for what they're doing, because we have some great storylines starting here. We have Dax thinking about his family and his future. We have Raw Siege and his quest to start a race war. We have a lot of great subplots as related to this story, and I would love to see the next issue continue to move this story forward and show us more regarding these great characters. So I don't know where to get the issues of Black Villains Wanted in paper. I mean, I got it on Kickstarter, but I really recommend you pick this book up. If I can find it, I'll leave a link to it in the description box. So you definitely want to pick this one up. It's a definite recommend for me. And this one was a lot of fun surprises, a lot of fresh takes, and it was a very original concept. And again, I can't wait to see more from Black Villains Wanted, because this was a very great first issue, and it was really rock solid in terms of writing, character development, and art. And I would love to see more Black Villains Wanted, and I'm hoping Arthur goes out and has enough success that he can fund the second Kickstarter. And I'm going to be there for that, to pledge that one. And I urge you to go out and try to get this first issue so you can see what great storytelling is with the black bad guys. If you want to try some of my SJS Direct publications like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, the John Haynes series, and the Spinsterella trilogy, you may do so by clicking the link to Amazon.com. There you can find my books in paperback and Kindle format. And if you want to see me review more great black comics from creators like Arthur Belfield, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, and my Cash App so that I can have the money to continue supporting more great black comic creators and helping them get their comics not only funded, but reaching a larger audience by things like making videos for this channel. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, My Sister, My Frenemy. It's a sister act as the goddess next door and the devilish diva team up in this action-packed Isis series adventure. Get Isis, My Sister, My Frenemy in paperback and e-readers everywhere.